Chapter 6, Mishnah 2. Having discussed what to do with an asham talui that is found to be unnecessary, the Mishnah contrasts it with other types of asham that are found to be unnecessary. The law of a definite asham is not like that of an asham talui. If a person designated an animal as a definite asham and before the animal was slaughtered he found out that he is not obligated to bring the korban, all agree that the animal may go out and graze with the flock of chulin animals. That is, it has no sanctity and is considered an ordinary animal. Although Tanaim argue whether an asham talui in such a situation has any sanctity, as we learned in the previous Mishnah, all agree that a definite asham has no sanctity in such a case. The owner consecrated the animal on the assumption that he needed it for an asham. Now that he no longer needs an asham, it emerges that the animal was consecrated mistakenly. The consecration is thus void and the animal has no sanctity. In the next case, a person found out that he does not need a definite asham after it has been slaughtered. If a person brought a definite asham and after it was slaughtered he found out that he was not actually obligated to bring it, the animal should be buried. Since this animal is now chulin, as taught earlier, it has the status of chulin that was slaughtered in the Beis Hamikdash, which must be buried. The Mishnah cites another opinion. If the owner's innocence was discovered after the blood of the asham was thrown onto the mizbeach, the meat is taken out to the place of burning to be burned. This law is the opinion of a different Tana, who holds that if chulin is slaughtered in the Beis Hamikdash, it must be burned, not buried. Having discussed the law for asham offerings that were consecrated mistakenly, the Mishnah discusses other animals that were given a particular status based on mistaken information. It first discusses an ox that was assumed to have killed a person. Such an ox is stoned to death, and it is forbidden to derive any benefit from the animal or its carcass. The law of an ox that was condemned to be stoned in error is not like that of an asham talui found to be unnecessary. Although Tanaim argue whether an asham talui in such a situation has any sanctity, all agree that when an ox is convicted in error, if the error was discovered before the ox is stoned, the ox may go out and graze with the flock. That is, it is not executed and may be used as any other animal. If the error becomes known after the ox was stoned, its carcass is permitted for benefit. The Mishnah discusses a calf that is to be decapitated, egla arufa, as part of a right to atone for an unsolved murder. The carcass of such a calf is forbidden for benefit. The Mishnah discusses the status of the calf if the murder is solved, and thus the rite does not need to be performed. The law of the egla arufa is also not like that of an asham talui found to be unnecessary. Although the status of such an asham talui is the subject of dispute, all agree that when a calf is designated to be decapitated because of an unsolved murder, if the murderer's identity was discovered before the calf is decapitated and thus no egla arufa is needed, the designated calf may go out and graze with the flock. That is, it is permitted to be used, just like an ordinary animal. However, if the murderer's identity was discovered after the calf was decapitated, the calf's carcass remains forbidden to be used. Therefore, it should be buried in its place of decapitation, like any egla arufa. This is because the calf originally came to atone for a matter of doubt. That is, it atones for the murder while it is still unsolved. Since the murder was unsolved at the time of decapitation, the calf atoned for the doubt and went on its way. That is, it has fulfilled its purpose. At the time of the decapitation, the egla arufa was needed to atone for the unsolved murder. It makes no difference whether the murderer is later found. The calf fulfilled its purpose and thus must be treated with all the laws of an egla arufa. Accordingly, its carcass is forbidden.